Welcome back to positionspecific.com and Coaching Journey 1. We hope everybody had a good Christmas and a new year and managed to try fit in seeing their loved ones. We decided to have a bit of a break ourselves as well, but we're back with it this week. But what we will be bringing to you is 2 coaches' journey this week. So we will be posting 2 this week, so good news for you guys. And then what we'll do is, moving from next week, we'll proceed with the second part of the season. You know, we've got some excellent games coming up. We've already got our schedule. The boys will be going straight back into 3 sessions a week, moving into a game on a weekend. We've also got some cup competitions coming up as well, so it'll be really good to see if the players can perform to the levels that we know they can when under pressure. So looking at week 13, we're going to do a coach's request because there was no game, which is going to be around some throwing ideas. We're going to look at high pressing, personal possession, system flexibility moving into the Newcastle game. And then obviously with parts of our game plan to run through going into Newcastle. So let's move on. So just looking at the coach's request, we like to look through the comments and look at direct messages and see if there's a regular pattern or if there's something that someone's mentioned quite a bit. And throw-ins sort of have been coming up over the last couple of weeks. We have talked about this briefly in a couple of our training sessions and game models or game plans. So we just decided to put a couple of little slides together on how we would work throw-ins in small groups. So just looking at the setup. So you've got your diagram of the pitch here. And how you want to set this up is up to you, but this is just something that we like to do. So we like to set up 3 areas on one side of the pitch. And then 2 connections on either side of the pitch. So you've got your left back, left centre midfielder, left forward, working in this area, so it's like they're attacking that goal. Then you've got your right back, right centre midfielder, right forward, working this way, like they're attacking that goal. So you've actually got both sides of the pitch. And then I'll go into this middle area as we go on. So the first movement, really, really simple. And all we're looking at is an unopposed practice with loads of technical work. So technical work with a thrower, all right, and then just little movements and taking the ball on the move with the midfielder and forward. So the first one's going to be to go below the ball and then receive it beyond. So just to show you here, midfielder will go towards the ball. The thrower will then throw it down the side or over the player, and then they'll take the ball, dribble out the area, turn quickly, play it back in. As that happens, they'll flick the ball up, and then they'll just work with the left forward. And all they're looking to do is use this whole area and keep varying it, whether it's short or long. But the first movement is to go below and then receive the ball beyond. And then you can work with a thrower's technique. You can work on the movement of how they twist the hips when they explode out. So there's loads of detail that you can get in here. And then we just mirror it on the other side of the pitch. It's something you could do as one coach, and you could stand in the middle and send them out, so a bit of player ownership, or you can just have 2 coaches working on the technique. So we'll work on this movement 1. Try to get as much technique in as we can. And then we'll bring them together, and then we'll play a little 2v2 or 3v2 game here. So they'll come together, give one set of the players or one connection a set of bibs, and then you're trying to work that one. So all we're doing is, so if you're looking at reds are going this way and yellows are going this way, all the reds are trying to do is work the movements below and beyond, and then they'll try to get out the box forward or sideways. Once they've done that, the left back will come in here and take a throw in, and then yellows will have a go. And it's just a little competition. And again, it's up to you how long you want to play for. It might be 3 minutes, might be 4 minutes, might be 5 minutes. But what you could say is you could maybe give them 1 point for just for successfully getting the ball out of the box. Or you can give them 2 points if they perform this movement. But don't take away that it might throw it in and bounce it back and then there's a 3v2, because that might happen in a game. So for us, we would just give the team 1 point for just getting the ball out in a 3v2. Multiple points if they perform this action. Then we'd go back into our own areas and then look at movement 2. So beyond and below. And then we're looking to set for a third man. So if we watch here, so the player will go away, come back in, and then you're looking at a little 1-2 pass. So a nice little set in there for the left back to be able to play first time, and then you're just looking to find that third player. So depending where the left forward is, will dictate on where the midfielder wants to run. So if he's here, there's loads of space in here. So as the ball's set, can they make that run beyond and then play it in? As you can see there. And again, the thrower might change angles and work all this area, which will then dictate how these move. Again, you get the idea of what it looks like. So you can start to look at the technique, the timing of the movements, the set, and then the third man. So the midfielder here, checked away, coming feet. And then you're looking at your wide forward being the third man now. So again, just working them little connections. And for people who've been following position specific will understand that these are 2 connections within our game model, just on the opposite side of the pitch. Once I've worked the movements, bring them back into a central game again. Maybe play to 3 to 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you want to work on. And then give them multiple points if they perform this action. You might combine it. So you might say if you can perform this action or this action, you get multiple points. And then just looking at movement 3, just looking for a simple crossover in this area. So getting set left and right, and then just a simple crossover, and then the fullback trying to pick the right pass. Once they get it, they dribble out, turn, play it back in. And again, just get the players to vary it. They might go front and back. If you want it might be that the midfielder starts high and the wide forward starts deeper. Entirely up to you. But again, you can really work on the technique and the relationship between these 3. And again, you're just looking at a similar sort of movement on this side. If you have GKs, you could maybe put a GK in here, could open up and get a shot on goal. You could add attackers to this if you wanted to. Not something that we've done yet, but you could maybe have an attacker in here and work the ball and get a shot. It's just an idea if you've got more players. Again, once you've worked that, come back into the middle and then try to work all 3 actions. But hopefully that just gives you a bit of an idea of how to work throw-ins. We try to keep it as simple as possible, and we like to build it up. So we'll work within this connection, which is, the same connections in the game. So that information's right. And again, they're always communicating with each other. So that's good. We do have other throw-ins where the connections have to work together, but that's for more of an advanced stage. So depending on how the opposition set up, but something that I'll go into further down the line. Hopefully that just gives you an idea, and you can take something from that. So looking at week 13, we've got 3 sessions leading into a game. So session 1, we're just going to look at some high pressing work, starting off with a real simple technical practice, then moving into a 5v7. We're going to do some personal possession work on session 2. So 1v1s, 2v1s, and then a little wave practice. Session 3, we're going to look at some system flexibility work. And then we're going to look at the game plan for Newcastle. So session 1, high pressing scenarios. So we're going to start off with a real simple technical drill that some people might have seen us use before. You've got your practice detail here if you need to have a read through it. We're going to be looking at the practice outcomes here as well. So the individual performance wheel. You've then got the physical outcomes over this side here. What I'll do is I'll just play the video and then we'll talk through it. So get the players into twos. Set up as many of these as you need to. So you might have another set just resting, or you might have just multiple areas set up so you're really working the players. We decided this week we had 2 players resting, 2 working, so we had 4 in each section, and then just set up multiple stations. So all we're going to do is in twos. You don't need to have them in bibs, but just for the video, we just wanted to show you. So the red player is going to dribble a ball at 50% speed. And then we're going to work on the defender here, just shadow defending, no tackling, but we're just going to look at them moving backwards and the technique of crossing over the legs, all right, and be nice and smooth as they're moving backwards at the same speed as the ball. Once they get to the middle cone, the attacker will whip it across to the other side, and then they've got to adjust. So you're looking at footwork, body shape, and then work the same technique on the opposite side till they get to the gate. When they get here, just change the roles over. I do this multiple times. We do it around 3 times. The players are getting better at it now, so you can do 3 times and then move on to the next part. If you need to really get more technique in, let them do it multiple times. Go in, show them a technique, and then let them go again. So it's up to you on where your team's at and when you feel that you need to move forward. Second part is the red player will dribble at 50% again. Now, once they get to the red cone here, we're looking at a change of speed. So the red player is going to go full speed and try and get through the gate. And then we're looking at footwork to change speed here. Now, we don't want the player to just turn and sprint, but what the player is to adjust and then try to stay with the attacker or try get in front while using good technique still. What you'll find is ball will get here, player will forget about the technique and just sprint. So make sure that you get the defender to really keep thinking about the technique of what it looks like. Get to the end, and then they'll change over again. So now we did actually talk about when they're in the little sprint, about getting their arm out, getting across and try to unbalance the forward without tackling. Might even just be a little tug of the shirt, just to try give them a bit of advantage to try get in front. And then part 3 was just really, really simple, just a little 1v1 drill. So if the attacker gets across this area here, they get a point. If they score and pass it into there or dribble across the bottom line, they get 2 points. And then flip that for the attacker defender. If the defender wins it in the top area, they get 2. And then if they win it, obviously you're looking for them to play in there. If they win it in the bottom area, they get 1. So it just turns into a little competition. Now you'll have seen us use this before. It's one of our go-to drills that we like to use when we're focusing on 1v1 defending drills and then looking at the technique. So moving on. So practice 2, 5v7 structured game. Details are here. Outcomes. That's like individual outcomes. That's not the team outcomes for us at the moment because we'll work that in the drills. And then you got your physical output here. So I'll let this play. So this was actually an A license support session. So this was something that one of the coaches had put into their A license pack. And obviously we've got coaches, mentors that come in all the time. So this was just one of the sessions out of there, but it is something that we like to use quite a bit. So the practice setup, just showing you here. So I'll let the video just play through. And some of you might have seen this before. So we're going to work in 4 areas. We're going to have 1 full-size goal and 3 small goals in area 2. So this is area 1, and then we'll put a goal on the edge of the 18-yard box, and this is area 2, and we'll put 3 goals in this area here, and then you've got the wide channels. As you can see, the setup. So area 1, area 2, and the 2 wide channels. So we're going to work with 7 yellows and 5 reds. I'm just going to show you the setup so you can see this here. Let it play through and then I'll pause it. So for part 1, we're saying to this team, especially because they've got the overload, they're locked into these areas. All they're looking to do is get the ball, scoring in one of the 3 goals. Set up the reds on how we want to press. So again, people who've been watching our journey should be familiar with how we want to press, but we also want to put our players in different scenarios. So we have our centre forward, 2 wide forwards, and then our 2 attacking midfielders left and right. That's how we're going to set up. So like I said, yellow's objective, get the ball, can they score in the 3? If reds win the ball at any point, it moves into part 2, and then we look to score in the big goal. So there's 2 parts to every game. And when we're talking about game, that means the keeper starting with the ball. So game 1, yellows can they score. Reds win at any time, we'll move into part 2 and look to score. We can have, with us, because we've got 2-3 coaches, you can have a coach with a ball around the outside. If the ball goes dead, so let's say yellows make a mistake and they pass the ball out or they miss the goal, you could fire a ball into the reds, and that could be part 2. But again, that's up to you how you want to manage that. But it's something that we like to do because let's say the yellow pushes on, tries to shoot and misses, but you fire a ball into left forward. You get 2 things from that. You get the yellows defending when unorganised, which is good, but you're also getting your reds to attack when they've got the overload or when there's space to exploit. So that's why we like to fire balls in, even if you're a coach in the middle with a ball to do that. So we're just going to look at some scenarios. So what we did is we pulled in the reds. Oh, we said to them, scenario 1, drop and become compact vertically and horizontally, force the ball wide, and then lock the opposition in. So what we're saying here is every time we're into part 1, so when the keeper's starting possession, we must fill area 2 here. And all we're looking to do is stay in this area. Once the ball then goes wide or goes into a wide channel, so fullbacks, then we'll look to lock them in. Now, you don't have to do it straight away. You can let them go across and play and build and try to go through, but we're not going to let them go through. But once the ball goes in there, we're looking for the 9 to jump or the centre forward to jump, then we'll look to lock them in. So that was scenario 1. So we'll play this for maybe 5 minutes or so, work through this scenario, and then see if the players can work together. So go together, stay together, arrive together, and then pick the right opportunity of when to jump out of this medium block. So as you can see here, this is what it looks like. Tight in midfield area. Centre forward, right forward, lock the play in. And that's what we was looking for. So scenario 2, centre forward sets the scene. Again, for the next 5 minutes, this is how we wanted to play part 1. And people who've been following us will have seen this press quite a bit. Then we're looking to let one of the centre-backs be the free player. And then what we're looking at now is our wide forward to press the inside. So we're asking the wide forward to curve the run and stop the inside pass. So trying to force them wide. That then allows our centre midfielder to move onto the outside shoulder. Maybe not at this distance here, because they might go in there and receive the ball. But we want to try and get them to go as quick as possible. Once the ball goes wide, we're looking at our centre midfielder to press the ball, and then we'll lock them in like so. So the wide forward recovers on the inside, centre forward slides across, left forward comes across. And again, people who have been following our journey, this is something that you'll be familiar with. So that was scenario 2. Scenario 3, again, just leaving the centre-back to be a free player with our centre-forward setting the scene. But what we're asking the wide forwards to do now is to cut out the direct pass into the full-back. So making sure that the ball doesn't go into their mark. That then will hopefully force the player, the centre-back, to play inside, which then gives us our first opportunity of winning the ball. If not, then they'll be looking to link pass. So first opportunity to win the ball or force the ball wide. What we're saying is they don't come on the inside. They don't spin you on the inside. Worst case scenario, they play the ball in there. And then what you've got here is you've got the same scenarios before. So the midfielder's gone, left forward comes in, centre forward comes across. So as you can see, so it's the same picture. I think this is really, really important to the players that they can see these pictures as well and how closely they marry up. And in scenario 4, again, just leaving the centre-back to be the free player, but we're looking to jump from the inside. So stop that direct pass into your mark. The left forward stays narrow. And this is something that you'll see Man City do quite a bit. You're looking at your second midfielder to become central, then your right forward stays in this area too. So it's like you're pressing in a 4-4-2. Enforcing the ball wide. And as you can see here, left forward then goes and presses, centre midfielder recovers, 9 does the same job, right forward does the same job. So everybody's doing similar roles. So it's not too confusing for the players. So that was the high pressing session around scenario building. So session 2, personal possession. So we decided not to do too much coaching on the night. What we wanted to do is just stress the players out and put them in real intense drills. So 1v1, 2v1s, working in and out of possession. So the first practice was a little 1v1 and 2v2. So you get practice detail here, practice outcomes, physical outcome. So we had 2 practice set up side by side, same distances. In one we had a 1v1 and in the other we had a 2v1. And then we just kept rotating the players. Now what you can do is you can put your defensive-minded players as defenders if you want and have one resting, one working. And then you can have your attacking players all in here in 1s and 2s. So you could have them in a set of 3 and then they just swap over the one player who goes 1v1. What we decided to do was just mix it up and just let everybody work in and out of possession constantly. So on this side here, all you're doing is playing the ball in. So it doesn't show it in this video here, but what we started with is a ball in and they bounce the ball back and then that set up the drill. So again, you'd play it in, play into the third player and then start. All you're looking to do is just get across the line before scoring. And how you want to add the points is up to you. So you might say to the defender, if they win the ball in the top half and dribble it across, they get a point or 2 points. If they win it in here and block it, they get a point. Same for the attackers. You could vary it. So if you've got players who are struggling to beat players 1v1, you could give them an option to maybe shift it and then fire it in for a point. If they get across the line and score, worth 2. Again, that's up to you as a coach on how you want to develop each individual. But we just wanted to keep it simple and just let the players play. Reason why we've got practice load low is because we had multiple players like resting. It's obviously high when you're in here and working, but we had like multiple players just resting around the sides. So personal possession, 3v4 wave practice, and then working parts of the transition. So as you can see here, you've got a back four of the Blues, you've got a front three of the Whites, and then you've got one player who stays below. So this player here who's supporting cannot step in. They must work on this line here. So if the ball goes into the 7 under pressure, they can use them as a pressure relief, but they're not allowed to step in. Now, it's something that you can add as a session goes on, so you can turn it into a 4v4 if you want, or you could get these to rotate. Again, that's entirely up to you. But for us, we just had the condition is that you must tackle with 3, 1 below the ball. Objective is to try scoring the goal. And if the Blues win it, they're scoring the 2 mini goals. Offside line counts. And no matter what happens, so in that scenario there, if the Whites score, the changeover, if the ball goes dead or the defenders score, you must quickly transition from attack to defence. So as you can see here, the supporting White dropped in and then they become a back 4. And then the Reds are set up in a 3 and a 1. So no matter what happens, that transition must happen. So as you can see, same thing, just working through and working through the transition. And again, what you might do as a coach is have a whistle. So we have one coach who's looking after the time and the whistle. So they've got a 3-second window. So we won't allow them to play the ball in too early because it can be chaos because there's loads of players on the pitch. We have what we call a 3-second window. So the defending team must get off the side of the pitch. The attackers and the next team should get set up as fast as possible. And we blow the whistle. So it goes every 3 seconds. So as soon as the ball goes dead, the coach is looking at 3 seconds. As soon as that 3 seconds go, everybody should be set up, blows the whistle, they play the ball. Or they can shift the ball, then ready to attack. That just gives us a little bit of order within the game, but also gives the players a trigger to try and get set up within 3 seconds. So session 3, system flexibility. So we just started the practice off with a simple 5v2 rondo, which we've been using quite a lot over the last 6 weeks. Players are getting to a level where they're getting quite good at this. I won't run through it too much, but just a couple of simple things that we're looking for in and out of possession. So in possession, we're looking at the players working on 3 supporting angles. So below the ball, beside the defensive line, beyond the defensive line, below defensive line. So when the ball's here, so they've got the ball below the defensive line, okay, we're looking at the 2 players at the side to be beside or beyond. Obviously, the player on the opposite side to be beyond, and then the 4 can make a decision on where they want to go. So it can either be beside, below, beyond these. And obviously looking at really good, clean techniques of passing and making their next pass playable. The defenders, if they can win the ball back within 5 passes, they both come out. Or if they win the ball and play it pass to each other, they both come out as well. If not, if they don't achieve any of them, as longest serving defender comes out. So it gives them a little bit of incentive. What we did for the attacking players, just to make it a little bit more interesting, because they're hitting the 15 mark a lot more now, is the 14th player had to flick the ball up for a 15th player to catch. Just a little bit of fun, but also to keep the players switched on. Players loved it. If they achieved that, there was a bit of a shout, and then there was a forfeit for the defending team. But we just added that because the players were getting to a level where they're hitting 15 quite a bit, and we just wanted to add a little bit of fun to it. So looking at the second session, or practice. So I'll let this play through and then I'll speak through what it is and what it looks like. So we had 4 areas set up and then 2 side channels. Worked off of 40 by 30. So it's a positional game. 2 big goals, and then we introduced an offside line on area 4. So there's your 4 areas and your 2 side channels, and then we introduced an offside line here. So we just put 2 big cones on either side. Played an 11v5. We actually changed that to a 6 because we had a spare body, which was fine, because it puts a little bit more pressure on the 11s. And because there was such a big overload, we just introduced little conditions for the yellers. But the objective for the yellers was to always build from the keeper. So we had a supply of balls here. Can they build the attack and then look to score from area 3 or area 4? Ideally, we wanted them to try break into area 4 and score. The Reds, all they're trying to do is move across the pitch at speed. If they win it, look to score, which is quite a difficult job for these. So you just rotate them every so often, maybe every 2-3 minutes. But you're just trying to get them to disrupt the play and be really awkward. So for the first game, we locked in the full-back and wide forwards till they get to the offside line. And the second condition that we put in there was 3 seconds max when you're in possession in this area and not allowed to play to each other. So you're encouraging whoever receives the ball on this outside to play in. So they're always looking at the bigger picture. Once we find the free player, we are then looking to penetrate this offside line with a pass and run. So we said to the wide forwards here, you can either stay wide or make your running towards the goal. And can another 2 go? So you'll have your centre forward and then the second midfielder, can they go and advance as well? So you're trying to break that line. So if you look back at our game model, this is something that we encourage quite a bit. Once we get into this final third, it's 1-touch play only. Again, just another little challenge because we've got such a big overload. So when looking at game 2, we broke this up into 3 5-minutes. And the first 5 minutes was structure 1. So 3-4-3. So when the keeper gets the ball, can we get into a 3-4-3 as quick as possible and then using these areas? So these areas were just there as guidelines so we could see the system. And then once we start to build and we play 1 or 2 passes, we start to look at natural movements. We didn't coach too much. It was just a couple of little ideas in, this is what we want. And then it was just to see if the players could understand the passing lines, the right movements, and then looking to break that defensive line or offside line and score 1 touch. Once we played for 5 minutes, we then move on to next system. So as you can see, a really simple movement. Defensive midfielder drops onto the line. You've got the next 2, and then you got your front 3. So using these areas here, this is what it looked like. Now, we wasn't saying that you had to be in these areas. There were just these sections here were just there as guidelines to try get different layers against the Reds. Just give us an idea of what it looked like. And if we needed to step in and coach, we could show them. And it's a lot easier when you're using the areas. Second structure, 3-3-1-3. We just got the midfielders to change the dynamics. So 1 and a 1, everything else stays the same. Talking to the defensive midfielder about dropping down the sides and not just down the middle all the time, making sure that these keep varying who drops in. Again, natural movements of coming in or staying wide. And in the last 5 minutes, it was just a 3-3-2-2. multiple ways of doing this. So this was something that we showed them on the tactics board before they went out and did it. So you get one of the midfielders to drop in again, and then you can roll in your two wide forwards and push on the midfielder. So that was just one way that we showed them to create this system. And then we asked them about other ways that you can create this system. So there's one. So the two can be lopsided. And you'll find this naturally with your movements anyway. So looking at the Newcastle game, again, no shock to everybody who's been watching. 4-3-3 moving into a 3-4-3 or 2-3-2-3. For people who've been watching the journey will understand that this is our default shape and we like to work out of this quite a lot. But we are flexible to adapt when we're playing against different systems. We'll always start the game within a 4-3-3 unless we know that the opposition will playing something different. So team identity and targets. These haven't changed. I want to keep this at this level for a little bit, but we do eventually want to try get to 80% in 3 of the areas. We've explained to people what this looks like as well after the game. So when we're showing the players or when we're looking at the data, if you haven't yet seen that, make sure you check back over the last 2 videos where we've briefly gone through what this looks like within a game. So attacking organisation. So again, we're just picking bits out of our game model, but it's just more reminders now. We're tweaking 1 or 2 different things. So the connection is something that we talk about all the time, and hopefully you as an audience will be getting familiar with this and maybe starting to use this within your own team. If you are, make sure you leave your comments below and let us know how it's going. You know, we're really intrigued on how it looks within your team. You might have changed the connections because you might play a different system. But like I say, it'd be good to hear your thoughts on how it's going with you and what it looks like if you are doing this. So your 3 connections, you've got your centre backs and your DM, and then you've got your left and right. So your full back, wide forward, and inside midfielder. This works well with the throw-ins. So if you go back to the coach's request where we talked about the connections of the throw-ins, you've got either side of the pitch. So full back, wide forward, and midfielder working together. Our little challenge is to get connected within 3 to 5 seconds and then look to play forward. So building the attack, which people will have seen quite a bit now. So we'll try to play a 4v2. And we've got a bit of an idea that Newcastle will press similar to Man U. So this is why we dropped it into the game plan, just to remind the players. One of the other ways of building, so if you go back to one of the sessions that we did, where we went into a 3-3-1-3 in the system flexibility. So that's why one of the reasons that we threw that in there. So just to give the players a different way of playing out and just see what it looks like. If their midfield stay rigid and stay at home, then we should have that extra body to break out. Now that can come from the centre backs travelling with the ball, or it could be that we find that deeper line midfielder to get out. If Newcastle step on, so one of the midfielders step on, then again we're looking at the centre backs to break the line, and then we're looking at the relationship between the left back and left forward. So it might be the left forward rolls inside to try drag the fullback in, or it might be the fullback stays and then becomes the free player. So you can look to play into them areas. Remember that we're looking to get into that attacking third, all right, as quick as possible as well. So if the pass is on and we've got runners beyond their defensive line, then we'll play that pass. Again, if their midfield stay rigid, we'll use the extra body on that second line. And it's great if the players recognise this and get it right, it's really, really good. If not, it's something that we can be aware of, coaches. So first thing we'll be looking at is what's the first line press? Where's it coming from? And then what does the second line look like? And then we can help the players to adapt and go into this system. Obviously, remembering that they've done this a few times now, and we worked on it as well in our last session into this with the system flexibility. Something that we've thrown in as well is throw-ins, because it's something that we talked about. So when there's a throw-in, we asked our first connection just to flatten out to see what their forward does. So see if they jump from the midfield. And then we're looking at the relationship, again, between the thrower, right forward, right centre midfielder. And there's your little crossover one. So try to keep it really simple. So looking at a crossover one for your wide forward to come inside, and then we look to exploit the opposite side. What we would say is can our right centre midfielder affect the tracking player for our wide forward? So if their fullback's tracking them, can our right centre midfielder get in line of his run? That'll then give our wide forward a bit more time. So it's just something to see if we could recognise this and do it in the game. And then the second throw-in that we were looking at was the connection between the thrower and the wide forward to try bring in the third man run. So again, little double movement, little bounce pass, and then you're looking for your centre midfielder to make that run beyond. Things that we'd worked on within like little parts of our warm-up throughout the week. And also we showed you at the start of the video around the ways that we like to train throw-ins. So we just thought we'd drop this into our game plan just to show you what it looks like. Obviously, we have many other ways of getting out from throw-ins, because all depends on how the opposition's set up. But it's something that we can throw in there as well within the game plans, just to give you an idea of what it looks like against different systems. Attacking corners, keep it really, really simple. Look for the short one and then arrive into the zone at the edge. And then we're looking to deliver. But the targets to the right are clear, quick setup. What's the trigger? First contact and second contact. Same thing on the opposite side. So we're keeping these set plays really, really simple for now. And we haven't scored many goals from them, but we're creating a few chances and getting the ball into certain areas. But again, it's something that's at the bottom of our list of what we work on, especially with this age group. As you start to get a bit older, then you start to put a bit more detail within these drills and work the set plays a lot more. As we're moving forward into maybe cup competitions, it might be something that we'll introduce just a touch more. So just to let you know, this will be the last week of the Christmas offer. So if you haven't yet downloaded the two centre midfielder books for only £5, make sure that you get on this week and download it. It was just a Christmas offer, so we just wanted to keep it because there is a couple of people still purchasing it. So if you haven't yet, make sure you get on and download it. It's a great price for 2 books. And like I've said before, we've had some great feedback from it, not just from coaches, but players. So we'll keep this up for one more week, and then unfortunately we'll have to take it down as we're moving on to 2021. Well, thank you to everybody who has purchased it. It's been great and left comments. It's just great for your support. As I've explained before, we try to keep everything real cost effective. It's just so we can put money back into the website, obviously, because it's not free. So we do need to make a little bit of some money to make sure that we can fund things like that. Most of our content is 99% free anyway, and that's how we want to keep it. But just these little offers and purchasing these little books just supports what we do. and helps it keep it running. Thank you again for everybody who supported this deal. So on to the defensive organisation. Again, kept it really, really simple and stuck with similar things and similar themes. What we did is we tweaked on how we wanted to press from the 7-11. We set the scene down the left-hand side, which we have done most of the season. But what we've done with the wide forwards, you can see here, the right forward, we've brought them slightly narrow so they can press from the inside, or try to force the keeper to play the direct pass into the fullback straight away. So what we said to the right forward here is stop the inside pass. So arc your run and force the centre-back wide. Now, I know this will be slightly different. I know this is slightly different from how we do it usually, but we wanted to try get this rotation right between the wide forward, centre forward and right centre midfielder. So what we did is we actually made this a little challenge within the game when we were pressing. So when the ball goes in there, our right centre midfielder changes the mark, right forward recovers, centre forward moves on to the centre back. Now, for people, again, who have been following the journey, this is something that we do when we're a little bit disorganised or when we get the press wrong. So that's why we're trying to challenge the players so that when we go back to our original press, we are just as quick at changing the mark or just as good at winning the ball with this transformation. Hopefully that makes sense. But it's the same picture, but just a slightly different starting point. And it's just part of the development that we wanted to work on around pressing. Defensive corners. So you got your team targets down the right. Quick setup, 3 to 5 seconds. First contact, second contact, and get out together. So if you're looking here, equal numbers around the ball. So if they've got 1, we'll keep 1 out. If they've got 2, we make sure that we get 2 out. We use a man-to-man system at the moment with 2 high up the pitch. Again, something that we haven't really worked on. So we're just trying to keep it really simple. And we tried to talk to the players around details of body shape, footwork, first contact, second contact, blocking runs. So more around the individual, really. And then again, if there's a goal scored, we've conceded a few this year, not loads, but we've conceded a few. You can really start to look at the individual work then. So what the body shape looked like and how they competed. So for us, man-to-man's perfect for us at the moment. Rather than bombarding the players with zonal, we just wanted to really focus on the way of defending individual duels on set plays. Same thing from that side. And then you've got the defensive free kicks. So just how we like to set it up. We put the names in there, what suits each personnel, but it just gives them an idea of what it looks like moving forward. Again, as we move into the cup competitions, then we might do a little bit more work around this, and obviously we'll share that with you. So moving on to week 14, what it's going to look like. So we're going to start off with a game review against Newcastle. We'll then look at an in-possession session, out-of-possession session, and then some match preparation, moving on to play Bradford City. Now, it's a great week is week 14 because we've got a good review of this. And there was loads of positives, but obviously negatives, what we could get better at. You've then got building into the Bradford City game where they play a system which is really awkward and causes a lot of problems, and where we have to adapt. So a real good week ahead of us. Just want to say thank you again for everybody's support and people watching the channel. We've had some really good feedback, like always. Again, we're quite open to negative feedback as well to try and improve. But remember, pressing that like button shows your support. So don't forget to press the like button. If you haven't yet subscribed, because there's still a lot of people watching the videos who haven't subscribed, make sure you press the subscribe button. And then don't forget to press the notifications. Get that turned on so you don't miss the next video. But massive thank you again, and we'll see you next week.